The 1920s, sipping a nice glass of legal whiskey at a speakeasy, watching your favorite jazz singer perform while flappers swirl around you. Mixed in with this slick, high-energy lifestyle, however, were conflicts in every part of life. The American dream that seemed so attractive and attainable to young, enterprising minds was also fleeting and materialistic, and with modernity came traditionalist pushback. Today, nearly a century later, societal conflicts still seem to echo the past.
The Scopes monkey trial of 1925 is a famous court case discussing the controversial nature of creationism versus evolution. In the trial, teacher John Scopes was brought to court after he was found to be teaching evolution. Due to the heavily Christian affiliations of the American public of the time, Tennessee had implemented the Butler Act, which classified teaching evolution as a misdemeanor. Despite John's defense, the prosecution had the support of William Jennings Bryan, and the Butler Act was upheld. This case is an example of how the intrinsic value America was built on, that of separation of church and state, was severely skewed in the mid-20th century. It also shows how the American public was very narrow and wouldn't allow discussion of other viewpoints. The notion that America would lack a separation between church and state seems outdated, but it is still very prevalent in the 21st century, as in the case of Klein versus the Oregon Bureau of Labor and Industries. In 2013, Laurel and Rachel Bowman Cryer were denied a wedding cake sale from Sweet Cakes Bakery in Oregon. This shop, run by Aaron and Melissa Klein, refused service because of their personal religious beliefs surrounding same-sex marriage. Oregon has a well-mandated non-discrimination law, which ensures that there is no right of refusal to serve a customer based on race, ethnicity, gender, or sexual orientation. The Oregon Bureau of Labor and Industries became involved and sided with the Bowman Cryers, as well as forcing the Kleins to pay a large fine. The Kleins, despite breaking this law, felt that the $135,000 fine they were required to give the Bowman Cryers for compensation is going against their First Amendment rights. They appealed the Bureau's decision to the Oregon Court of Appeals, where the Bureau's decision was upheld. This shows that despite the discrimination of the couple, the government has become more secular and protected the rights of all citizens, no matter what sexual orientation. The fact that same-sex marriage was only legalized 4 years ago in 2015 shows that religious beliefs still do have a pull on American politics.
In the 1920s, movies and sports created a stage for people to gain notoriety and celebrity. They provided a template for the pinnacle of human beauty, talent, and strength, and contributed to the rise of consumerism in America that persists today. Because of shorter work hours and new labor-saving technologies, the working people of America now had more free time and money. As a result, both playing and watching sports became more popular. New media coverage of sporting events through television and radio made athletes into national heroes and role models. For example, Babe Ruth was, and still is, one of the most well-known baseball players from the 1920s. His physical prowess and magnetic personality overpowered his known habits of drinking and womanizing, beginning the public's tendency to ignore moral deficiencies when coupled with success in sports. The popularity of sports survived through the Great Depression and has continued until today. Modern media has only contributed to the idolization of sports figures, and many athletes use social media accounts to advertise their brand and get sponsored or create their own products to sell to consumers hoping to be like them. The disposition of fans to forgive athletes for crimes or immorality has not changed. Adrian Peterson, a running back in the NFL, was convicted of child abuse in 2014. After not playing for most of that season, he returned to his previous level of fame and success, overall unaffected. Increase in free time and spending money also contributed to the increasing popularity of movies, which in turn contributed to the deification of actors and actresses. Older generations, resistant to the changes that the rise of cinema brought, blamed the loose morals of Hollywood on corrupting the American youth. One such scandal was the mysterious death of actress Virginia Rappe of either effects of excessive consumption of alcohol or rape by fellow actor Fatty Arbuckle. The idolization of actors and actresses, similar to athletes, contributed to the growing consumerism of the 1920s, as advertisements featured claims that by purchasing their product, one could become just like their favorite movie star. Today, we are undergoing another era of new media creating celebrities. Social media allows any person to build a following by broadcasting their life as a brand to which people can aspire. They portray a picture-perfect life and then tell you what products you can buy to achieve that same goal. The conflict over new forms of media and their benefits and detriments to society that followed cinema has remained with social media, and the debate will be ever present in our society as new technologies continue to be invented.
For immigrants, the 1920s was a decade of turmoil. With the end of World War I came isolationism and fear. The Immigration Act of 1924 imposed strict quotas on immigration for each nationality, and in the subsequent years, the U.S. foreign-born population plummeted. Fear of foreign countries and ideologies culminated in a widespread anti-communist hysteria known as the Red Scare. Thousands of people, the majority of whom were immigrants, were jailed or deported on suspicion of anarchy. The case of Sacco and Vanzetti is a famous example of this conflict. In 1921, they were executed for their alleged murder of two men. Their case sparked controversy around the world as it became clear that their conviction was based on ethnic and political prejudice. Sacco and Vanzetti were Italian immigrants and anarchists. They maintained their innocence until their death, but were never given a retrial. In today's America, immigration is as relevant an issue as ever, although it is very different in scope. In the 1920s, the vast majority of immigrants came from Europe. Today, the majority arrives from Asia and Latin America. Immigrants have also risen from a source of cheap labor to many holding very influential positions in society. However, discrimination against immigrants on the basis of fear is still very present. A 2017 poll found that a third of Latino Americans experienced discrimination when applying for jobs. In terms of pay and promotion, immigrant Latinos reported the most discrimination. One of the most polarizing topics in today's society is the citizenship status of undocumented immigrants, showing that conflicts over immigration are as present now as they were in the 1920s. Despite the obstacles they face, over 1 million immigrants come to the U.S. every year in the hopes of forging a better life. For this reason, immigrants exemplify the American dream.
I think in other countries, and again, this is just 2 generations ago in my own family, the dream for many people is just to be able to have a home and a family and freedom to have your own thoughts. You know, the things that I've achieved, many of those things seem to be icing on the cake, relative to what most people in other countries have.
Do you feel like the American dream still exists today?
Oh, absolutely. I think you just only have to look at the many success stories, thousands of them that exist in this country. So I think it's still alive and well. I think the odds are steeper for some folks, but it's not impossible for anybody.
Over the past century, America has undergone incredible change, but many aspects have remained a constant. Because of the transcendent conflicts of old and new ideas and factionalism, the issues surrounding modernity and the American dream during the 1920s are still relevant throughout American history and today.